And so we use Sales Navigator to, one, identify our audience. The cool thing is, y'all, with that piece, like a lot of the things that were taken away from us on other platforms to be able to identify our audience are still on LinkedIn. So I can identify that audience, and then I can use this little thing that says,
Welcome to another episode of Entrepreneurship Exposed, hosted by your guy Beez, where we talk about everything related to entrepreneurship, but always with a twist of business acquisitions, because that's what it's really about, right? I created this whole podcast just so I can sneak in business acquisitions in every discussion. But today, and it's very much related to business acquisitions, our guest today, we're going to talk about LinkedIn and selling without selling. So join us today for a great conversation with my guy, Joshua B. Lee, the dopamine dealer of LinkedIn. Josh, how you doing, brother?
Beez, brother, I am excited to be here. Like, dude, just listen to the opening thing. I mean, like the beat dropped. I'm like, I got a little hyped. I'm ready to go. So let's have some fun, man. We'll jump into it because like you said, everyone's gonna like, oh, we're going to talk about LinkedIn. Everyone goes, mwah, mwah, mwah. So you and I got to make sure we hype it up and make sure everyone understands, like, there's a lot of power over there if you do it right.
Oh, yeah. And, when you and I first met, I was just like, oh, this guy, we got to connect, because I couldn't believe the things that you were talking about when you were talking about LinkedIn. I was like, I tell my community that all the time. That's where it starts with the business acquisitions. Forget IG, forget, anything else. You need to be on LinkedIn. Right. Yeah. So before we get deeper, tell the people a little bit more about yourself, who you are, and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, man. It's it's been a story, man. It's sometimes you forget. I've been doing this for over 20 years, so there's a lot of ins and outs. I mean, I say 20 years professionally, right? Like I was doing it, semi-pro back in high school, selling candy out of my locker, things like that. But professionally, I started 20 years ago, and, I kind of started off with a company that most people forgot about these days. One of my first clients was a big name back in the day called MySpace. So, when you want to really bring it back, depending on the audience of, their age demographic, some of them, like my kids, your kids are like, MySpace, what? But like, I actually work with them. They were actually one of my first clients, and I helped them design one of the first social media ads to be able to monetize their traffic. So like when we talk about being able to do this for a long time, I've been at it from the get-go when social media really started. The biggest shift and change between those years, yes, I built 16 different companies monetizing damn near every acronym you could imagine online, monetizing massive amounts of traffic. But at the same time, the big difference was back then, I don't think people really knew the difference between traffic and actually true engagement, right? And so like throughout my entire career, I've done a little over $1 billion in managing advertising, right? Like I've managed 35 trillion online impressions across my own servers. But the biggest thing that I don't know how many people I helped, how many people I served, right? I sold a whole bunch of things, but did that really change the needle? Or honestly, did we even sell? Because there wasn't that much tracking back then. So like when we look at where I am today at Standard Authority, right? Like we're about how do we actually educate, inspire, and draw people in, not sell. Like we talked about the title, selling without selling. You educate someone enough to be able to make a decision. That's selling without selling, because now you're pushing them in to be able to go, wow, I feel educated to make that decision. And that's what we do, right? We actually work on LinkedIn to really be able to kind of go in and work with the top 1% in the world and build advocates first, and allow that byproduct become clients. And man, it's been pretty amazing to be able to do what we do these days on a platform that most people just go, dude, I just get pitched all the time. And I said, well, you're missing out, because again, there's a lot better way to be able to do it.
Definitely. So you hit something, and man, there's multiple reasons that I was like, I got to connect with this guy. He's awesome and whatnot. But you hit something that's probably the most important for me, right? And that's obviously why we chose that title, Selling Without Selling. For so long, everyone that I've met, as an entrepreneur, as an investor, they're like, you got to keep selling. You got to keep pitching. They're like, let me show you how to sell from stage. And then you hear people doing, they're pitching their sales, and they're like telling people, Hey guys, okay, before we get to the episode, I just had to take a moment to say thank you to everybody that's been supporting Entrepreneurship Exposed. Your guy Beez here, and just having a great time having these conversations, showing you every aspect of entrepreneurship, because there's a lot of things out there that are, seems like all the glitz and the glam, everything looks good, but we want to make sure that you see some of the obstacles. Not things that will stop you, but just things that you need to know before you dive into this world of entrepreneurship. If you like this content, you like these videos, please just do me a favor and just make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure that you click the like button, comment on it, just tell me what you feel about each topic so I'll know how to adjust for other topics and have other guests on. And make sure that you hit the notification bell, because YouTube's kind of weird like that, and if you don't have that notification bell, even if you're subscribed to me, you won't see a lot of my content. All right, so if you would like to support us, that would be the best way. Thank you so much. Now back to the episode. They're like telling people, yeah, just mortgage your whole house and come in, and it's not real value, but they'll rape them from everything that they got just to get that sale. That car salesman mentality type of thing. And I've hated it. And, I've always said, I don't like to sell. And everybody's like, yeah, but you're always selling. I understand that. I know what you mean by that. I'm always selling. I'm speaking and I'm presenting myself.
Right.
But what I'm talking about is if I have a service or a product, I'd rather talk about the value of it. And then I feel that the people who are the ideal clients, they will buy because I'm giving them the true value. But I've been told that's not the best way to do it. You got to hit their heartstrings and, convince them to buy regardless of what you're selling. It just never makes sense.
How long have you been doing this?
Man, I mean, even in corporate America, I was in corporate America over 15 years and same type of thing, but it's the last decade of being a full-time entrepreneur.
Think about that. So that's what I'm saying, though. Even if we just take the last decade, you are 10x farther than most entrepreneurs ever get, right? Mm-hmm. They don't get past year 3 really going through. So think about that. All these other people told all these other entrepreneurs, you got to sell, you got to close, you got to always be closing, the ABCs, right? Being able to go through that. And you and I are up here. I've been doing it for 20. You've been doing it 15 plus the 10. And we're still around, still doing what we're doing, educating people, inspiring people, giving them the choice to be able to, because no one wants to be sold. Because if you sell someone, it sucks on their part and it sucks for you because you got to keep on selling them. But if they make the educated decision to do that, dude, they're all in. LTV goes through the roof. Yeah. And that shows in your and my career and how long we've been doing this and still around.
And I believe it creates advocates, right? Because it's one thing to sell and you have a customer, but it's the next thing to lead with value. And then they join in voluntarily. And then now they're an advocate of what they believed in. You ever watched or read, because he put it in a book too, but you ever watched the TED Talk with Simon Sinek?
Many of them.
With the power of why and why companies do it, the golden circle and all that stuff.
100%, yeah.
That's exactly there, right? It's like, when people are just talking about, hey, I got this product and it's the fastest. Well, everybody says theirs is the fastest. But when you resonate with why you're selling what you're selling, when I tell people that, yeah, I acquire businesses, and the reason why I'm sharing it with people on how to do it is because I wish I had this information when I was 17 years old. So I want people to have it. Not everybody's going to do it, but I want to give it out there. And it's even at my detriment to do that. And I'm still doing it. Right. So
and that's the thing, right? An advocate can bring us 1,000 new clients. People are like, I want a client. That's a one-to-one relationship. That's exhausting. Like I want to be that one advocate, and they'll bring us 1,000 more people to our doorstep. If I went back and told you how when we first started, like getting clients like MySpace, it's crazy, right? I didn't go in and sell anyone. They could say that I was, but like I just presented facts. I was like, Beez, like let's say you were around a website 20 years ago, right? And you had some ads on there. Hey, right now, if I would email say, hey, if I can make you $1 more than you're making on your website right now, I'm going to make you more money, or I'm going to prove that you're making the most money possible. Either way, it's a win-win for you, right? By putting my ads on your website. Yeah. So again, I'm giving them knowledge, right? To be able to go in there. Hey, it's a win. Either you're going to know that you're making the most money, or I'm going to make you more.
Exactly.
And that was it. It wasn't like, hey, let me tell you why and go through this and try and be able to go through this whole long sell. It was just pure facts. And when you actually lay out facts on why it worked for someone, what it can do, and what it's done for you, storytelling, right? Like, hey, let me show you why. Not, I don't want to be the guy that says, hey, I'm going to make you 7 figures. Hey, let me show you how I've done 7 figures for someone else and why it worked.
I love that. I love that. Even in the education space, right? So I am apparently in the education space if I don't want to be, but my acquisitions is my main source of revenue, but teaching people and whatnot. And I have my community for sure. But in that education space, when you basically allow them to not only if you can convince people to understand exactly how everything is laid out, they then replicate it. They then bring in more people. They then continue to spread the message. Like we said, the advocates. Like overall, I think that's just so much of a better way to approach it. But we got to make that shift really quick into how does LinkedIn come into this, right?
Well, that's that whole piece. I mean, how many times have you gotten a thing going, hey, ever thought about using LinkedIn to get leads or whatever it is? I mean, we get these pitch. I get it all the time. I get it daily. Hey, Joshua B, ever thought about using LinkedIn to get leads? I'm like, you didn't look at my profile. What you're doing is sending 1,000 people a message, hoping to get the one sale. And more than likely, you're just pissing off 999 people, right? And so this is that whole piece. And so like when you understand that LinkedIn is full of this stuff, if you can be able to show up differently and to be able to go treat another human being, like, look, the things that I'm doing on there, man, it's just the things that my mom taught me how to treat other human beings, right? I'm not doing anything different. It's not like this whole, I'm not going to sit here and go, hey, let me tell you this elaborate plan to be able to go through. Like, it's really just being able to acknowledge people. And so that's that one piece on LinkedIn is you want to build advocates. First and foremost, treat them the way that you want to be treated, the golden rule, right? And start with that. Be different. Understand what the competition, what everyone else is doing, and do the opposite.
So curating your message for LinkedIn in a way that is not salesy and is trying to establish relationships, connections. Is that what you're saying overall?
And that's what we do, right? We're not a lead gen company. I'm a high-end relationship building company, right? Like I'd rather be able to go in anyone. I had a friend of mine, and this was a couple weeks back, and he goes, Josh, man, trying to get going on LinkedIn, brother. I always come to you. I get a lot of friends that come to me all the time. I'm like, yeah, sure. Like however I can be able to support. He's like, I know it's a numbers game. I said, dude, I got to stop you right there. Like you're going to piss me off, right? Like I hate that when you're going to come to me and go, it's a numbers game. That means you're telling me it's a spamming game. And that's not cool because let's just be honest, like with LinkedIn, there's different things. And I know there's a lot of people who don't know all the aspects, and I'll break this down as much as possible. But on LinkedIn, because of all the spamming over the years, they've really put parameters in to control that. So most of us online, everyone on LinkedIn is only allowed up to 400 connections a month. All right. So let's break this down. 400 connections a month. Right. So if I want to be actively using those correctly, do I want to randomly send up to anyone? No. I want to find the people that are actively online. So like when we're going through that, if I break it down even more, that's 100 a week. And if I take Monday through Friday, that's 20 a day. And that's what I told him. I said, James, you're telling me that you can't send out 20 true, real messages a day? Like you don't have that much time in your business? Come on. Like you're lying to yourself. You're lying to me. And that's what I want everyone to understand, right? Like everyone here listening has the opportunity to be able to make 20 real connections a day. And we can go in deep and I'll tell you exactly how we do it using like Sales Navigator on LinkedIn and identifying audiences. But that's what I want everyone to understand, right? That's the difference in what we're talking about versus how to stand out, how to build relationships. It's just being intentional with your time.
There we go. So, the audience definitely is going to want you to elaborate on the Sales Navigator thing. So you want to go a little bit into that and just explain.
Yeah. So like, here's the thing, man. So Sales Navigator is LinkedIn's built-in CRM system, right? So it's $100 a month. I'm going to tell everyone right now, like if one opportunity doesn't convert for $100, maybe the way I'm showing you is not the way to go. If you're selling this like widgets for $5 a piece, like this is a very high end. This is more like high end products. Most of our clients have products or services that range anywhere from $5,000 to, we have some clients that have $100,000 a month service, right? So like this is the services that we're going through to track those high end, high value relationships. And so we use Sales Navigator to identify our audience. The cool thing is, y'all, with that piece, Like a lot of the things that were taken away from us on other platforms to be able to identify our audience are still on LinkedIn. So I can identify that audience, and then I can use this little thing that says posted and active on LinkedIn in the last 30 days. Why do I want to reach out to 100 people if they haven't been active on LinkedIn in the last 30 days, if only 20 of them have? And so now we're actually being more intentional. Now, even more intentional of that, now I'm looking at going, I know the numbers, Beez. I know that less than 1% of people get more than 1% or more engagement on their content. So again, the average person on LinkedIn gets less than 1% engagement on their posts. It's pretty low.
Yeah.
So like if I want to get your attention, I'm going to use Sales Navigator. I'm going to identify that audience, and I'm going to say, oh man, Beez posted on, on his EntrepreneurshipXposed podcast, man. I'm going to like it in my comment and reach out. Hey, Beez, I saw your post on your YouTube with Josh, man. It was amazing. I really got X, Y, and Z value. Now I'm creating a stopgap. I really appreciate it. Thank you. We're actively responding to it. We're taking action. I'm not doing any cold outreach. I'm not cold calling. I'm not cold emailing. I'm acknowledging actions that they took. This creates a stopgap in their pattern. Now I can actually have a real conversation with them. That's how we're doing it. And if you can do that with 20 people a day, I'm telling you, the opportunity from outreach to connect, we see anywhere from a 90% connection ratio from outreach. Now we're having conversations. Conversations create, relationships. Relationships open up opportunity. It's not a sale to a pitch, right? And we have to be able to flip that around.
I love it. I love it. So elaborate a little bit also on, okay, let's say I'm selling dog collars. I don't know. I'm selling dog accessories or something, right? And they're low ticket, and mainly it's to like the average consumer, not necessarily a professional business person or anything. Would you still recommend that person focus on LinkedIn over like IG and such?
IG is really hot. I mean, it's great for those type of things, but don't sleep on LinkedIn because of the indexing. So this is what I want to, everyone here listening, I don't care what you're doing. If you're working for someone, if you're selling something, even for $1 up to $1 million, right now, the future of business is on LinkedIn. And I want to tell you why, right? It's not just because of what I told you with Sales Navigator to be able to go through that. That's the secondary of why I want everyone on that platform. Primarily, it's because of how it's indexed. So LinkedIn right now is owned by Microsoft, right? You have a background in Microsoft. My wife does as well too, right? Microsoft also invested, in a little company called OpenAI, aka ChatGPT. So one of the facts that most people don't realize is LinkedIn, first and foremost, is one of the most highly indexed sites by Google. So when I put content, I optimize my profile, my comments, everything gets highly, highly indexed on Google. So now when I'm putting all my content out there, I'm being found on LinkedIn, I'm being found on Google. And now, because of that OpenAI relationship, they're doing what Elon Musk was really doing with Twitter, which wasn't owning a social media platform. He really wanted to index the human algorithm on there for his next AI. Microsoft is actually doing that with OpenAI at a high, high level on LinkedIn. So now what we're doing is we're seeding the future of search, which is eventually we know it's going to be going into, a higher level of search and really being able to draw that stuff in. And that's where everything's going. So I want to be able to be found everywhere. I want my content. I want my posts. Take your blogs, put them on LinkedIn. Not only you won't get dinged, you're going to get re-indexed on Google and on ChatGPT, where the future of search is really going for generative search.
Ooh, I love that. And I would assume using like backlinks. So put your blog article on your website and then go post it, the link to it on LinkedIn. And then it's, it's connecting back and forth, and that's helping with search engine optimization.
Do that on your company page. Don't link off site on your personal page because you'll get dinged for that. But on your company page, you'll be fine. So when you're doing that kind of stuff, company page use 80% of all B2B leads from social media come from LinkedIn. 80% across the entire board. So all the other social media platforms are only taking up 20%. So take that opportunity to be able to get where the opportunities are going. People go to LinkedIn not to lose themselves in someone else's life. They go there to be able to either get educated or to be able to make decisions, right? That's what they're doing. They're going to research decisions. Hey, should I hire Beez? Let me go look at him. Let me see who's followed him. Let me see what recommendations he has. Let me see if he's legit, right? Yeah. Because again, it's one of the most trusted social media platform out there.
I love that. And you have to, the other reason I feel that Elon acquired Twitter is media is powerful. And if you could control your own narrative, then you hold more of the power. You keep that leverage, right? So that's where I fully agree with you. Like, you have to optimize your LinkedIn profile. You want it to convey that story that you want people to know, right? Or else they'll make up their own stories about you.
First and foremost, like I don't want anyone on here going in and don't start posting content. Don't start sending messages out until you can actually tell your career journey through your profile on LinkedIn. Unless you're looking for a job. And honestly, man, even if you're looking for a job, don't just post a resume on LinkedIn. You have to be able to tell a story. Like when you go back in and look at my LinkedIn profile, man, it tells everyone where I've been, where I'm at, and where I'm going, right? It's telling a full story. And I mean, like, I don't just have like CEO of Standard Authority on there. Like my first career, when you go back and it's all going back to like a server at Chili's. Right. What we're doing is we're being able to shrink that gap between us and our audience going, oh man, Josh worked at Chili's, me too, commonality, right? That's what we use our LinkedIn profiles to be able to do, because as human beings, we look for commonality in other human beings, right? We find alignment. That's why you and I are on this podcast right now, because we had alignment. If you and I didn't jive, dude, you wouldn't be talking to me. I mean, I don't care how famous I was. Like, you don't want to bring people on here to your audience unless you actually have, vibes with them and you actually really connect. And that's what we're using LinkedIn profiles to be able to do. And most people just miss out. They just got it like, I did this. It's all about them and not about a story that people can relate to.
I love that. I'm going to make sure I got to review my profile again and see if I'm telling a good enough story because, as a public speaker, best way, and as an educator, the best way to convey a message, the best way to teach someone something, the best way to convince someone of something as well, is instead of just telling them what it is telling them how you did it and telling that story overall. Then it end up resonating with you. So it makes total sense to me.
And I've heard you speak, and you do this extremely well. So
Thank you, right? So you see the alignment again, right? So, okay, I think we're at the point where we got to pop what it really means, selling without selling, and especially the use of LinkedIn. So we run through what you would say are the pros, opportunities, and of course, the problems you got to be aware of when you're utilizing LinkedIn to sell without selling.
Yeah, here's the whole thing, the pros of being able to use LinkedIn, selling without selling. First and foremost, you've got to be able to draw an audience. There are over 10 billion. Let me reel that back real quick. There are almost 1 billion people, a little bit more, on LinkedIn. Out of that 1 billion people, only about 4 million are actually posting on a weekly basis. Those 4 million have access to 10 billion weekly impressions. So if that's not a pro to push you to start putting your content on LinkedIn, I don't know what is, right? That's a pro.
That should be an opportunity too.
That's a pro. That's an opportunity we go through, because again, I'm not telling you when to create all new content. You can actually take your same content from your blogs, from your other social media sites, and put that on there and just adjust it slightly to be able to connect to that audience, right? So that's a pro. The other pros that are on there as well too, one, average income, right? Facebook is around $64,000 a year. Twitter's around $58,000 a year. LinkedIn average income is around $125,000 a year.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that's
another pro. 4 out of 5 people on that platform are business decision makers. Last pro, 50% or more people on that platform are educated. So now you're telling me I have an educated audience that can actually make decisions and afford what I'm selling.
Ooh, there we go.
It's a win-win-win.
Do you feel it's better for B2B rather than B2C?
Here's the whole piece. I'm gonna really blow everyone's mind right now. There is no B2B or B2C, right? Business to business and business consumer. Those were just terms that were made up by guys like me 30 years ago to be able to diversify ad spend. Every company is run by another human being. Most marketers forget that. So everything is H to H. So I don't care if you're B2B or B2C, you're still selling to another human being at that company to be able to go through. So 100% LinkedIn is for everyone that's doing any type of opportunity, no matter it's B2B or B2C, because everyone's H to H.
So I really led you into that answer because I heard you say that before, but I thought it was so powerful. I wanted everybody else to hear it. So, but yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, okay, let's pros. We got tons of
pros and opportunities that are still there too. I want everyone to understand the opportunity is for you to be found, not to seek, right? Most of us are seeking opportunity. Yeah. I want opportunity to find you, right? I'm taking the opportunity and flipping it around a little bit because that's the opportunity that's on LinkedIn, is the opportunity of being found, right? Because when you put your content on LinkedIn, not only are you being found on LinkedIn and drawing eyeballs to you, you're also being found on Google. And then now, future of business, OpenAI, and being able to see that. Like the opportunity there is either you can be like everyone else, not everyone else, but like the other million people every minute that are creating a new AI, or you can be the one that actually is in the results of the AI. That's what I want to do. I want to play with the house, right? I don't want to compete against the other people creating another AI. I want to be the person that's the results that are found in their AI. And that's where LinkedIn starts. And that's the opportunities that are on LinkedIn right now, not only for now, LinkedIn, Google, but future OpenAI and generative search of where it's going.
Ooh, I know this. I love this. Okay. Now, well, let's go to the problems. I have a different question, but let's go to the problems because that's important. And like I told you before, I like to highlight the problems a lot because I use the acronym POP because it's catchy and such. But I don't even like the word problems. It's just lessons. Yeah. Right? The challenges that we have to face and overcome and then take as lessons. So what would you say are some of those that you got to be wary of in LinkedIn?
The biggest thing I want everyone to understand, you're going to see so many opportunities. The quick sell. I had someone, I was on a call earlier today, and we go through Beez and it was like, he goes, look, I do traditional, to build my LinkedIn profile. Like, I'm not sure why I don't get any visibility. I got 16,000 followers, but no one looks at my content. I just don't understand why. And, I went traditionally, I did traditional outreach, like everyone else, and I use automation. I was like, wait, you think automation was traditional outreach? I go, that's your first problem right there. And I think that's the biggest problem that everyone goes through. They look for the quickest way to the end. Oh, well, I'm going to go in and use one of these automated tools to be able to do all my outreach, to be able to build my content, to be able to go through and do everything. Guess what? LinkedIn's one platform that doesn't want automation. If they find you using automation, they will kill your account and you will never get it back. Now, they were already ahead of the game because they were using every 24 hours, and these automated companies and platforms that are out there adjust their code every 24 hours, trying to stay ahead of LinkedIn. Well, now with OpenAI and that relationship, dude, they're even faster. So the biggest problem that most people are going to go here is like, well, I want to use automation. It's going to be faster. Everyone tells me this is what I can pay $20 for a tool that'll do all this for me. That's your biggest problem because guess what? You need to have the time. The problem I want everyone to understand is if you can't dedicate at least 30 minutes to an hour every day on your LinkedIn to be able to go through, that's where the problem is because you're going to miss out on the biggest opportunity of where everything is going. And so that's what I want people to think of because in my eyes, problems going through. Yeah, there's a lot of spam on there. Yeah, there's a lot of, but that's not a learning curve. I want everyone to understand the biggest problem is not choosing the easy way out. You and I have been doing this for a long time. We always know if the easy button was there, everyone would hit it.
Yeah.
It's the ones that actually don't take that. When you take the time to understand who you are, what you stand for, who your audience is, and how you actually can help them, support them, that's what will be the biggest problem that everyone will take because most people don't understand that. And to be able to actually communicate that way in a way that's not just talking about your shiny stuff online, where you're actually telling stories and drawing in your audience, that will be the solution and the opportunity and the pros of everything of that one problem. That means people don't take the easy way out, take time, 3 posts a week, right? That will actually solve your problem because I'm not telling you to do 3 posts a day.
There we go. You know, so we're going back again to that golden circle thing, right? The instead of just focusing on the what, let people see the why, and
Right.
that will lead to more. So now, my question for you, on IG, for example,
Yeah.
there's I don't even know if it's 100% accurate or not, but everybody seems to believe that IG only shows, I don't know, 10% of your audience, your posts and such.
Yeah.
Is there any type of restriction on LinkedIn or anything like that? Because you mentioned that we get exposed. There's only about, I think you said 4 million people who are actually posting out of the billion that are on there. So now you have exposure to all of this audience. But does LinkedIn show it to everyone who follows you and to others? And if not, how do you get that to happen?
So this is the cool thing, right? And I was just at a big event earlier this year, speaking Traffic and Conversion Summit in Vegas. Mm-hmm. And one of the people that actually founded it, brilliant human, but he had said something wrong. He goes, all the platforms are changing. Every single platform, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, everything's they're using their algorithm to be able to show you what they believe that you want to see, right? The For You pages, right? And that's why you're seeing less of your audience is actually seeing your content these days, right? 10% on Instagram are your friends, right? Like that's the biggest problem because they're showing it to other people that they believe should be what's going on. Mm-hmm. The amazing thing about LinkedIn is they actually went the opposite way, right? They're actually showing it to your audience first. And so again, let's talk about a problem. The biggest problem is LinkedIn's the oldest platform out there. It's been around for 20 years. It's actually turning 21 this year, right? So it's been around for a long time. Yeah. In 21 years, the biggest problem most of us did was hit that accept button for every single person that sent us a connection request. That's why our feeds suck. That's why we get pitched all the time. That's why everyone goes, oh, I hate LinkedIn. There's nothing relevant because we didn't curate our audience and our tribe. And so what you have to be able to start doing, you want that audience, you have to be able to find your audience. Mm-hmm. The same thing I said with Sales Navigator. If you want people to be able to find you, be able to find your content, curate them, right? Go out there, engage on people and draw them in. Hey, Beez, I saw your recent post, man. Really appreciate the value added. Thank you so much. Love to be able to connect with you. I'm now engaging on their content, drawing them to me. They're my ideal audience so they can start seeing my content because guess what? LinkedIn's going to show my followers my content first, and then it's going to start showing it to everybody else. Biggest problem for everyone is, guess what? All their followers, they don't even know. They just hit that connection. They just play Pokemon on LinkedIn and try to catch them all.
Ooh, so that leads to quite a few other questions that I have. But the most important thing is, over that 21 years, I looked at different places. I connected with everyone that I was working with. I connected with some clients as well. But those aren't the people, like basically I'm saying that my audience has changed over that time, right? Should I go and disconnect from people and change?
I'd rather have 1,000 people that engage rabidly on my content, right? That love what I do, that I give value and get value from, comparably to 50,000 followers that don't mean anything to me. Because again, it's not a numbers game on LinkedIn. This is what I want everyone to understand. Because again, if those 1,000 people really like it, guess what? LinkedIn's going to use their algorithm to find lookalike and then find those same people that I'm not already connected to. So we have to make sure our connections are actually people that are relevant to the content that we're sharing. Dude, I hate to use this word, but I cull my list all the time going through because like if I get hey, do you want to say happy birthday to John? Dude, I don't know John. Delete. Right? Oh, Jamie got a promotion at her company. You want to congratulate her? I'm like, dude, I don't even remember connecting. I've never met this woman, right? Like, delete. Like, if I get a cold pitch, dude, I'm telling you, like, I probably disconnect with 50 people a day that cold pitch me on LinkedIn.
Is there
I spend more time disconnecting with people than connecting with people.
Is there a limit to how many you can disconnect? Like how there's a limit to 400 connections? Okay. So, that really, opened my mind now because it's like, wow, I didn't even think about that. And I can see why I can see the delineation between, how LinkedIn has followers and then connections. right? So it's okay if everyone's following you,
Correct.
but if you're
Your
connected to them,
connections. Right.
wow,
That's what you want to be able to shift. So, and it's counterintuitive, right? Because I guess most people are going like, well, I need as many, and most people don't have followers. They just have the connections are their followers. And so like in this world or social media, we're driven to, oh, well, Josh has 100,000 followers. He must be accurate, like, so we get in this false sense of, empowerment that people that have a whole bunch of followers, but if those followers do and never take action, they're just numbers, right? So LinkedIn's shifting, and this is the opportunity. Like, I want relationships. I just did a post on this the other day. Like, I don't want followers. Like, here's one of our brands, family, right? I used my last name finally in something, right? Like, it was like, I want family. I want connections. I want people that I have real relationships with, because when we win together. And that's what LinkedIn is.
Oh man, this was an enlightening conversation. It's something that I'm like, oh, I have to take action immediately. And I was already, a fan of LinkedIn. I promote it all the time because when we make this little shift in the conversation to business acquisitions, it's important when you're going down that route of mergers and acquisitions. You're going to reach out to different brokers and buyers for potential acquisitions. The first thing they're going to do is look you up. They're going to go on, and they're not going on your IG looking you up. They're going on LinkedIn to see who you are. 100%. And so for me, it was, you have to have your story. You have to have it written out there in a good overall story, so that when they come, they're comfortable with who you are, and that leads you to continue the conversation with them.
Right.
But I never thought about all them random people who I don't even care about no more, that I connected with from different companies and such back in the day. Yeah, that's
they're not engaging. Like, look, I'm gonna be honest, man. Like, my mom's still on LinkedIn. She's still engaged. I didn't disconnect with my mom, but because she still engages on my content. But it's if they're not engaging, right? There's no connection. Like, you're just wasting opportunity to be able to turn that algorithm. Because what I'm trying to be able to do is, we've all been conditioned in this world for this like, comment, share, post, like, comment, share, post. That's that human algorithm online. Yeah. I want to now condition my audience on LinkedIn to be able to want to engage with me. How do we do that? We give to receive, right? So I want to make sure I have the right people on there, that I'm liking their posts, appreciating them for liking, appreciating them for looking at my profile. Hey, Beez, man, I saw you looked at my profile. I just want to reach out and say thank you, right? Dropping those little dopamine hits to draw them in. Because again, we all get like, Beez looked at my profile or endorsed me for for marketing on LinkedIn. I'll do the same, right? We've been conditioned to do these things. And so when we engage on their content, they naturally come back and do the same for us. And LinkedIn pushes it that way. The more that they see you engage in one person or a certain group, they start showing those posts more. And so that's what we're doing. Now, we're not only conditioning human beings, we're conditioning the algorithm. So I don't have to spend money. I just have to be able to really attract my tribe and push away the people that wouldn't be aligned with me anyway.
There you go. That is definitely a gem. And you ever watch a movie, and then in the movie, they eventually say the name of the movie, and then you're like, oh, they said it. Well, that's what
we always look for that.
Always, right? Well, that's what just happened, y'all. Because Josh just said you get that little dopamine. And I was like, oh, yep, the dopamine dealer of LinkedIn. How'd you come up with that name, by the way?
It's funny, man. It wasn't even me. It was I was on a podcast. It was called a podcast by friends of mine called the Hustle and Flow Chart Podcast many years ago. And I was explaining to them what I do, right? Like the way, the human nature of what we look at LinkedIn and how, because here's my process. I'm just going to open it up for everybody, right? Like, I look at, I hate cold call and I hate cold email. So first and foremost, I look for trigger points. On LinkedIn, trigger points are someone looked at my profile, someone engaged on my content, or my ideal audience posted on LinkedIn. So what do? I appreciate them, right? I create that stopgap in their pattern. I say, thank you. Hey, thanks for looking at my profile. Thanks for engaging my post. Thanks for, posting great content. That's my first initial connection message compared to what most people go, hey, ever thought about, buying my crap? Yeah. So it's different. I'm appreciating something. And so we go through there, they connect, right? This is where most people go in and they pitch immediately. Oh, we connect now. Now they're connected. Now I can pitch them. No, my mom always taught me when I meet someone new to give them a compliment, right? Nice hat, love your dog, cool kicks, whatever it might be, right? And so on LinkedIn, a compliment is being able to give someone an endorsement on LinkedIn, right? Those little endorsements on their profile. Yeah. So we've appreciated them for taking action. Now I've connected with them. Once they connected, I give them a compliment. LinkedIn says, hey, Beez, Josh endorsed you for marketing. You want to say thank you. It's an easy button. You hit the button. Now I can ask a question about them and then provide value. Each one of those are little dopamine hits, putting someone in a flow state, allowing them to feel more comfortable and more human. I've done this in like a couple of days, right? And so like when I explained that on that podcast, when it came out, it goes, Joshua B. Lee, the dopamine dealer of LinkedIn. And I was like, it just kind of stuck. But like, that's what I want everyone to understand. Like the process I just laid out, it's not rocket science. It's just true human nature. Most of us have forgotten that's how we should treat other people on the other side of that screen. If we really want to build that relationship, because we got to have a conversation to build a relationship. Relationships create opportunity.
Awesome. So for those who are watching on YouTube, you'll see that Josh has this magic thing. So, I
don't know why I keep. There we go.
I'm not getting it. What's going on right now?
There's another one too. I can't even remember.
Like the heart. Yeah. Look, there you go. It's like magic, man. He's the magic man of LinkedIn too. That's good. Anyway, Josh, this has been an amazing conversation, man. First of all, tell the people how to get in touch with you, how they can connect with you, and services that you have.
Surprise. I want to build relationships. I want to start conversations. So for anyone listening, man, if y'all love Beez like I do, I want to know more about him and why you love him. So connect with me on LinkedIn, Joshua B. Lee. Look for me up there. But again, don't just smash that connection button, right? Send me a personal message and tell me why you love Beez, right? Like why you start listening to his podcast. Why are you in his group? What's going on? Because now I'll get to know who you are and why you relate to him. And then I can actually share amazing information back to Beez on what you guys say about him. So like, I love that, man, because it allows me to get to know everybody and actually get to know you better too.
Awesome. I love that. So, see, I'm glad my team put it up there right now because underneath your picture, that's your...
that's Instagram. Yeah.
We don't want that up there. We want LinkedIn. So.
I mean, you can find me on Instagram too and Twitter. I mean, that's the whole thing. Everywhere it's like the Joshua B. Lee. On LinkedIn, it's just Joshua. Well, they don't have the @ sign. So, we got to go a little different.
Exactly. Oh, man. So Josh, last question for you. Have you acquired a business before? And if not, will you look into business acquisitions?
I have in the past. So I built 16 different companies. Those companies were built through acquisition. So like when I first started my first company, it was going through to be able to go, okay, who are the people that do the best in that what they do? And how can I leverage my team to be able to do what I do best? And that's kind of how we went acquisitions. You and I have talked, and I've heard some of the ways that you're doing it now, dude. I went through a life reset. And so like I closed down a lot of companies. I just have the one right now, but it's time to be able to get that back going again. And, I know who to talk to and how to be able to set up the right way to be able to get things moving forward like I used to do in the past, but do it even at an accelerated rate with you, my friend. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. I am here and ready to help as much as I can, man. But business acquisition is it's the greatest investment you can get into because you get to do your due diligence up front. You get to see all the financials. You get to see everything and mitigate your risk as much as possible, although you can't eliminate it, but you can mitigate it. And then
where were you when I was doing, I could go through a whole story. There was, dude, we're getting to the end. And of course I got to just drop this in here, my friend, because again, It's just, I was in Vegas. This was 2007, Playboy Club, Vegas, Palms Casino Hotel with a buddy of mine. I was doing an acquisition going through, I was buying source code, the source code of the business, 1.3 million, investment that, was going to go through, did the whole thing, handshake, didn't do my due diligence, ended up costing me 10 million over the next year.
Ooh.
So when you talk about doing due diligence, being able to see the numbers, being able to go through, I know now it's so important. And like, if anyone's listening, I can tell you from experience, yes, a lot of opportunities come. They sound amazing. You never know what opportunity there might be, especially as men. Sometimes we'll, be sitting at a poker table trying to be able to, act like we know everything. And honestly, if you don't take the time out, you're not protecting yourself. You're not protecting your family. You need to make sure we're talking to someone like yourself.
Definitely. Especially if you have that opportunity in business acquisitions to do due diligence, why would you skip it? But sometimes people get so excited and they just jump in head first. But we still want to take it in a structured approach.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So, dude, and we talk about stories. I just had to share that because, like, I have amazing acquisitions. I've had some that almost closed my doors. And I said 2007 because that we know what happened shortly after that. It was a rough couple of years being able to get through that, but it's being able to have amazing humans and to be able to follow the people that are actually sharing the knowledge. That's what gets us to the end and allows you and I to be able to sit here today.
There we go. All right, my brother. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Entrepreneurship Exposed, where you helped us to expose selling without selling and the power of LinkedIn. Thank you again, bro. This has been an amazing conversation. I think we're going to have to do another part 2 or part 3 and all of that later on.
We can go real deep. Oh, yeah.
For sure. Well, y'all already know what to do. If you haven't liked and subscribed to this channel, to this podcast already, it's available on all podcast platforms. And maybe you're watching on LinkedIn right now somehow, clips, right? So jump over here. It's on YouTube as well. Make sure you like and subscribe and turn on that notification bell so that you don't miss conversations like this. And I will see you on the next episode. Let's go.